Hello, good morning, class 3. Okay, so I hope you guys are doing good. Okay, so today we will do our computer. Okay, so we will do a chapter from our computer. So I want all of you to open up your computer book and computer textbook and turn to your page number 8. Okay, so it is chapter number 2 and it's about computer parts. Okay, so basically in this chapter we will learn about what are the different parts of the computer. Okay, so what are those different parts and what are those different devices that we use in the computer. Okay, so I think in our previous class also we have learned about what the computer is actually made up of, right? And I think in your first chapter I have explained you how the computer works, right? So it works in an IPO process, right? Input, process, output, right? So we give instruction that is known as the input. We give some data to a computer, we instruct some command, or we give some command to a computer, right? So that gets processed and the result that we get is known as the output. Okay, so now basically in this chapter what we are dealing with, we are learning, we will deal about the different parts of the computer. Okay, so what are those different parts and what are the basic features of the different parts and the components of the computer. Okay, so class, please look into your books as I'm explaining the books. I'll be explaining you from the book. Okay, so look into your page number 8. So in the previous class we have learned that the computer is made up of different devices. Yes, we already know that computer is already made up of different devices. Yes, so we have input devices, we have output devices. Like further we have also learned about input devices and output devices. Okay, so a computer is a combination of hardware and software. Okay, so a computer is basically a combination of hardware and software. Okay, so what actually is hardware? It is hardware is the physical part of the computer. Okay, so hardware is the physical part of the computer which can be seen, okay, and can be touched, okay, are called the hardware. Okay, so simple. Okay, so the physical part of the computer which can be seen and touched are called the hardware. Okay, for example, mouse, keyboard, okay, monitor, CPU, etc. Yes, we can see the monitor, yes, we can see the keyboard, we can touch it, right? So we can touch the monitor also, we can touch the CPU, we can see and we can touch those devices, right? So that is known as the hardware. Okay, so now hardware is furthermore divided into or classified into following categories. Okay, look into your books. Okay, so the hardware is further classified into the following categories. Okay, so number A is input device. Okay, so now this hardware. Okay, so whatever the hardware devices we have, it is much more classified and it is divided into four. Okay, we have input devices, we have processing devices, we have output device, and we have storage devices. Okay, so now hardware, as I've already, so don't confuse yourself. Okay, class. So I've already told you, right, we have input device and output device, right? So in all this input and output we have hardware. Okay, hardware devices. Okay, so some of the input devices are like we have keyboard, right, we have mouse. Yes, those are some of the input devices. Okay, so output devices, some of the hardware output devices are monitor, right, we have printer, right? So those are our output device. We have speaker, right? Those are our output devices. Okay, so another is processing devices. So processing devices like our CPU. Okay, that is like the main brain of the computer, right? We have already I've already told you and I've already explained you about the CPU. Yes, that is the main working component of the computer, or it is also known as the brain of the computer. So such devices are also known as processing devices. Okay, so now there is storage device. Okay, so now storage device means we have pen drive. Yes, we have external hard disks, right? We have CD, DVD. Okay, so those are known as the storage device. Okay, so now all these four categories that has been classified out here: input device, processing device, output device, storage device. Okay, so now all these devices that can be seen and touched, okay, so that is known as the hardware. Okay, so any input devices that can be seen or touched, okay, or any output device that can be seen or touched, okay, is known as hardware. Okay, or any processing device or any storage device that can be seen or touched is known as a hardware device. Okay, so now another we have is our software. Okay, so now input device are used to give data to us. So as I've already told you about input and output, right? So input device is to give data to to give data or instruction to a computer. Okay, so now let us look into some of the input devices. Okay, so let us look into some of our hardware devices. Okay, so now I will switch my camera towards my PC screen. Okay, so it will be much more easier for you. I will show you and I'll explain you what are the basic parts of the computer, or what are the basic features and the components of those parts or those devices of the computer. Okay, so class, what I want you to do is I want you to go through the books as I'm explaining you. Okay, and at the same time, if you can, means you can turn on your PC and you can do it side by side with me. Okay, it's gonna make it much more easier for you to understand it. Okay, so guys, I'll explain you what is hardware and what is software. Okay, and what are the basic parts of the computer. Okay, in the other video. Okay, so let's continue it in now another video.